Hello, my name is Ken Kinter, and welcome to day one of my cancer journey. The purpose of this is one for me to document my journey. Um, I was diagnosed today, and I want to document the journey. I can remember it. I'm also hoping this will help me process, and I'm also hoping that this will come to some help for someone else because I'm sure this has happened to a million people before me. It's going to happen to millions of people after me, and um, it will help. I hope it will help people feel not so alone in the process. And anything I learn along the way, I'm going to include in here. So hopefully it's not to be pretentious. I hope there's some free advice in there. I've gotten some diamonds of wisdom from people already who've been there and done that. And I'm hoping that I can pass those along and maybe add a few of my own. So I'm going to do one of these every day. This one's going to be longer because it's got backstory in it. I think the other ones going forward are going to be shorter, but I can't guarantee. I haven't thought about this at all. This is very spontaneous. A friend gave me this idea, and I'm just going with it, hoping it helps me and ultimately somebody else. What this isn't is I have no desire to be any sort of cancer influencer. I want this out of my life. I'm here to kick this thing's ass and send it back home to its mommy crying and go about my life and never speak of it again unless asked. And um, I'm not here to be a victim. I'm here to fight. I'm here to do this, and um, I'm going to be out front with everything because I feel like my secrets and trying to tell stories and hide stuff and keep stuff quiet just drains energy from the fight, and 100% of energy and everything has to go into the fight. Um, a friend of mine also gave me the idea. The other thing, this is not as an effort to raise any money. I have everything that I need and then some. I may put down some links for sites or bone marrow donation or something like that. We'll see. If that's much further than I've thought this out. So just to give a little backstory about me, and I'll give a little backstory about my illness, and then I'll talk about being diagnosed and how that all went down. So the short version of me is I'm a professor at two universities. I'm a professor of psychology and also a professor of psychiatric rehabilitation, which to summarize it, it's kind of like the psychology of people with severe and persistent mental illness, people that go to hospitals, people that get kind of, their illness is so severe that they kind of get knocked out of the normal flow of life, school, relationships, and all that stuff. And we try to get them back in again, kind of an equivalent to physical rehabilitation after someone's had a severe accident or illness, something like that. My wife and I have a therapy practice. I've done therapy for I don't know how many years. We're trauma responders. We responded to 9/11, and Sandy, and suicides, and all sorts of things that happen in the community, including, ironically enough, working with families who have a loved one diagnosed with cancer. So I've heard a few notes of this song before. It's just different when it's you. Speaking of which, I'm trying to keep all this covered. There's way too much. If you think what's going on here is really sexy, can't handle what's going on under here right now. It's pretty real. So I have a wonderful home. I have a wonderful wife. I have wonderful stuff, wonderful critters. Again, I have everything a man would want, and then some, with the possible exception of white blood cells. We'll get to that. So just to back up a little bit, I was rolling along just fine, better than fine, until March 3rd of 2023. And then my stomach shut off. Everything I ate turned into diarrhea immediately. I could drink a glass of water right here, walk to the bathroom, leave it, come back. And just everything turned into just clear. It was a rain gutter, basically. And the weight started to come off. 20 pounds in a month. And I started to get weak, started to run fevers, started to have terrible headaches, started to have low blood pressure, all sorts of health started to break loose. Then it got better for a couple of weeks. I was going about my life, normal way, maybe 2-3 weeks later. Come on in. Okay, I got to be ready for that. There's going to be a lot of interruptions. But so anyway, I was really, really sick for about 2-3 weeks. And then had 2-3 weeks of functioning and being fine, going out with friends, seeing concerts, going out to dinner, half appetite, stomach halfway back, no more than half. And I actually had just started Good Friday. I just started exercising again, walking the dog and all that kind of stuff. And then Friday was really when the descent started, and each day was down, 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 down. I'd seen my doctor when I was stabilized, and he said, let's watch this, and I'll order blood work. And it was just Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I literally felt like I was dying. I've written something to that effect. It wasn't even like I'm dying because of my heart, I'm dying because of my blood pressure. No, I just felt like my body was leaving me here. So Thursday, instead of going to get blood work, my wife took me to the emergency room. And as soon as they laid, I couldn't get out of the car. I literally stood at the door of the car and they wheeled me in. Can't walk, couldn't do anything. I was completely useless. Couldn't have walked the 10 feet from the car to the door if there was $1 million piled there. Sad. So they brought me in the emergency room and then immediately freaked out. Everybody hit the same. I think I had 900 white blood cells. I had hemoglobin 5. I don't even know. First of all, people weren't telling me, so that's how you know it's bad. They ran everything under the sun on me and, of course, told me I was being admitted. And the word malignancy got bandied about real quick in the room, but I noticed it. My wife and I worked in emergency rooms for a long time. We worked with a lot of people who have been diagnosed and kind of see how it goes. People say different words, different cancer. They try to work it at the end of sentences all the way at the end. Even people who do this for a living feel awkward about it because they don't want to blow the mind of the person doing it. Nobody wants to hear it, right? So, so they admitted me, and then as soon as I got up here, they ran a COVID test on me and found out I had COVID too. But I was so messed up that like the COVID didn't even register. I mean, I was on the freaking brink of death. COVID was just along for the ride. But that also put me on isolation. So I'm in a room by myself, and everybody comes in dressed up in hazmat suits, and I try to wear my mask too. So they're working me up for everything from tick bites to infections to GI stuff. I met every doctor in the hospital except OB/GYN, and I may have met a few of them, I'm not sure. Friday, they fit me in for a bone marrow biopsy, and that was the big one for determining whether this was going to be cancerous. The two theories were, where did my immune system go? Did something take out my immune system? And once we take that out, will my immune system come back? Or is my immune system gone? And this is just the result of it. So that was the big difference. They transfused me at least 5 times, trying to get my hemoglobin up, trying to get my blood cells up, trying to get the platelets up, trying to get my vitals back to that of a functioning human being. I think my blood pressure went down to like 39, 54, 39 or something like that. I didn't get a good look. So I went through the whole weekend working me up, blood in, blood out. I mean, I'm covered. I got stuff going in and out of everywhere. Fortunately, now I'm disconnected from everything, so my arms are getting a bit of a reprieve. My arms look pretty sad for a while. So today was the big day. Today was the big day. So infectious disease comes in. It isn't a tick bite. It isn't anything infectious. It is my own body's streptococcus bacteria that's running all through my system. It's nothing from outside. And that means that my white blood cells that are the guardians, or the zookeeper, as I call it, over all of the bacteria and viruses that are in your body naturally, thousands of them, I guess. The white blood cells keep them all in cages. It doesn't kill them off, but it keeps them in their place. But then if something happens to the zookeeper, the animals all get out. So my streptococcus got out and got everywhere, and there was nothing to stop it. And I would have died if I waited another couple of days. I would have just checked out. I have zero doubt about that. So I do give these people credit for saving my life. And so everybody comes in, and the last one to come in is the oncologist, who was a sweetheart. I'm leaving names out just to keep things simple. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I have nothing but nice things to say about everybody I've worked with so far. I don't know how complicated that gets. So he comes in, I had already sort of ascertained what was going on. And because I'm COVID, my wife couldn't be here. She was also COVID. So we had her on the phone talking with the oncologist, who was wonderful and broke it down directly but nicely. And the long story short was that I had, I want to get this right, pre-B cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL. Some of you might know what that is. I don't know. I'm brand new with this. So that's what I have. Sounds pretty aggressive. And what that meant was I have to be transferred out of here, and I have to go to a transplant center, not for the bone marrow transplant right away, but that's where you have to do the chemo and all that stuff to arrest this thing. So I'm sitting here waiting. I think today's my day to get transferred over to the transplant center. So the hardest part about hearing these things, and again, I had a premonition this was happening, and I had tried to pass it along to my wife so she would not be terribly surprised. My first thought actually was how my wife was going to take it. And that was hard. Then once it was out there, we asked all the questions, treatment and all that kind of stuff, all the nitty-gritty treatment questions, because you've got the oncologist in the room, so you got to get all your shots in while they're there. I bought this notebook and I had all my questions written down. I was all ready to go. I wrote down the name of everybody who walked in this room today. And there was a lot of them. So then after that, it was, when am I leaving? Where am I going? And all that stuff. And then the job of notifying people. And again, I am blessed with a great group of family, friends, people I know from bands, coworkers, colleagues. I mean, embarrassment of which is there. Might be the most significant support in my favor that I can think of. At least 50, 60 phone calls today. And you don't want to be the guy calling all of these nice, wonderful people and saying, hey, I got some answers about that hospital thing that I did. I came in for dehydration and COVID. Well, it wasn't just dehydration and COVID. It was leukemia. I'm going away to get chemo now. Nobody wants to hear that. And even if you're the one delivering it, there's part of you that's like, oh God, this has got to suck to hear. This sucks for this other person. It does suck for me too. But the two calls that were hardest to make, of at least 60, I can't even count them. One was, Dad, no father wants to hear his son suffer. And to hear it in his voice was probably one of the low points of the day. The other one was my work, having to surrender responsibilities and not keep commitments. I'm one of these maniacs that, all right, look, I have cancer, but that doesn't mean I can't finish my classes. So that's a work in progress. I don't have that one figured out yet. One of my next moves is notifying my students. Because I just want to make a point that I'm being open and honest about that. There's no shame in this game. I'm not being quiet about it. Maybe this is a TMI situation, and maybe I'm an unbridled narcissist and I need everybody to know my business. I don't think that's it. This is just all energy goes into the fight. I don't have time for pretense. I don't have time for any of that stuff. So told everybody, made calls, passed out for an hour and a half, did it again, passed out again. It was basically the whole day. Naps and telling people. And everybody was wonderfully supportive. People are offering a bone marrow to me. That made me cry. And speaking of crying, in case you think I'm just being, real Pollyanna, I'm not happy about being diagnosed, and I don't want to send the wrong vibe out. I've had 2 cry sessions so far. One was watching a beautiful sunrise here at the hospital and playing and singing Here Comes the Sun by 2 bands. One, the classic Beatles version, and also the King's X version. And the other one was, I have sort of a weird fascination with artists who knew they were dying and released a final album. Warren Zevon's of The Wind is one, and Queen Innuendo is another. Played them front to back sang them front to back. Keep me in your heart for a while. Um, Please stay. Um, Show must go on. Who wants to live forever? I can tell you, I always love that, and it hits a little harder under these circumstances. But to me, I have to feel that. I got to let that stuff up and out. And that kind of brings us to, I think, the last point. I hope I haven't rambled too much. I apologize if I have. This is new and not well thought out. I would definitely tighten this up in the future. The three greatest things that have helped me so far, the big three, and anybody else who's going through this, I don't know what your big three would be, but have a big three. I don't care what they are. If it's your hermit crab collection, man, you rock that hermit crab collection. Like your life depended on it, because it does. Number one, I already mentioned my supports, family, friends, my wife. It's excellent. My musical buddies. These are people that I'm in bands with. You don't have to get emotionally involved in the lives of somebody in a band. These people are praying for me as hard as anybody. I'm sure of it. Co-workers, even former co-workers. Everybody's completely on board. If I unplug my phone for half an hour, it's dead, just because text calls. It's hard to keep up with it. But that's a good problem, because feel sorry for myself, feel pity for myself. Nope, can't do it, man. I got people calling me, tell me they love me every hour of the day. So it's kind of hard to run from that, nor do you want to. And I don't want to let those people down either. You know what I mean? I want to come out the other side of this. They suffer when I suffer. Like in reverse. Number one, that's it. Number one. Number two, music. I gotta sing. You better keep me in private rooms, man, because the music has to be on all the time. Music is how I feel joy. Music is how I feel sadness. Music is how I feel. So, number one, the people, the supports, the network. Don't leave anybody out of it. You never know who will step up. There might be a few people who don't, but you'll be surprised. You got a better social network than you think. And something like this has a funny way of clarifying shit. Two, music. Just talked about it. Three, just personal, my own Buddhist beliefs. The idea of just not getting attached to a belief, a problem. Just don't put your weight down. Don't put your eggs in one basket in any sort of thought or feeling or anything. Just be where things are and just move in the direction that they're moving. As soon as you try to assert any control over the situation, like doing a video without getting interrupted, you're going to be wrong. Just know it's not going to happen. So free of expectation, free of control, just stay away from all that and put all the energy into just being okay, because that's where the energy of the fight comes from. Don't let anything divert the energy, because I have a sticky feeling I'm going to need all of it. And then some. So today's my transfer day, I think. So I'm gonna send one of these a day. Again, I apologize that this rambled. And we'll see, man. Welcome to the ride. I hope this is at some level entertaining. Sounds a little morbid, but I hope it's educational. I hope you learn something from it, and I hope I hope my suffering can come to some good for someone else. Someone you love, somebody I don't even know. But buckle up, kids. Let's go.